Science rules!
Human body composes of many elements such as carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and hydrogen.
There's so many elements that make up our body. Take, for example, calcium. Calcium strengthens teeth and bone. Without calcium, our bones would snap like twigs. Sulfur is a very important molecule that creates fingernails and hair. Neon ions play a role in transmission of the nerve impulses. Fluorine and calcium create a very strong salt, which is a crystal, and it strengthens the teeth. Iron is a central atom in the compound hemoglobin. Hemoglobin carries oxygen through blood.
Magnesium plays an important role in muscle contraction.
Water is an excellent solvent. It is also held by polar covalent bonds. Water is everywhere in our body. Do you know why? Why? Because substances all over our cells can dissolve. That's what makes so many elements in our body work.
So for this experiment, we're gonna need 2 beakers filled with hot tap water, rubbing alcohol, some salt, sugar, and an egg white mixture. So you grab 1 beaker, you pour sugar. Not too much, just a decent amount. Then you mix it vigorously. So if you stir it correctly, the sugar would dissolve. So after that, you repeat the same process with this one. But instead, you put rubbing alcohol. You pour some salt. And then you grab some of this egg white mixture you made.
Look at the flick of that wrist. 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 Look at the flick of that wrist.
This is the process in which your stomach happens. It depends on what you eat. If you eat something that harms your body, this is what might happen. It won't dissolve as easy as something like sugar. So this is the process. It is important to dissolve ingredients such as salt and sugar because, for example, salt, when the elements of salt that create salt are sodium and chloride. So sodium's positive ions and chloride's negative ions. When they get separated, they conduct an electric current. So this is how the body sends nerve impulses. That's why salt is important. And water, it clears out all the ingredients. Water, mostly all, but not all, but it clears out.
Salt is also a very important compound. It helps us send nerve pulses. You want to know how? Okay, so when it separates into positive sodium atoms and negative chloride atoms. This conducts an electric current, which is how we send nerve pulses throughout our body. All these elements in our body provide nourishment and create our cell structure.
Science rules!
Organic compounds contain carbon, but inorganic compounds do not always contain carbon.
Sugar is an organic compound, but it is made by plants from inorganic substances. Carbon dioxide, shown here as dry ice, is inorganic, even though it contains carbon atoms. It is used by plants to make sugars.
Carbon atoms can form many different types of compounds. This occurs because carbon atoms can form single, double, and even triple bonds. between themselves. Carbon atoms can also form single bonds with up to 4 other atoms, including 2 carbon.
Organic molecules are shown in a simplified way. These two simplified ways of showing them is called a full structural formula and a simplified structural formula.
Carbon atoms can form long chains that are either straight or branched, that can contain hundreds of carbon atoms. They also can be formed as rings, such as benzene. Benzene has 6 carbon atoms and 6 hydrogen atoms that alternate bonds between them, which can form a hexagon or a ring.
Please consider the following.
We use carbon for many everyday things, but we may not even know it. For example, here explains how we use carbon to power trains. And down here you can see that it explains how vanilla has carbon in it, but more specifically benzene. It gives it more of a smell. The reason why carbon can form different molecules with the same atoms is because of the way they are arranged. An example of this is butane and isobutane. They both have 10 hydrogen atoms and 4 carbon atoms, but they form 2 different substances.
Wow!
Hey guys, you didn't see that. My name is George and we're going to be talking about 4 carbon-based molecules that are in our body systems. Lipids, proteins, carbohydrates, and nucleic acid. Come on and join me.
Carbon-based molecules have many functions in living things. You depend on carbon-based molecules for all the activities you do on a daily basis. For example, when you play softball, you'll need energy to swing the bat and run at the bases. Carbon-based molecules are the source of this energy your muscles need. Carbon-based molecules make up your muscle cells and provide those cells with the ability to contract and relax. They also carry oxygen to your muscle cells so that your muscles can work properly. Carbon-based molecules even provide the information for building new molecules.
Hey guys, it's your boy Gangsta Nine, and we're gonna be talking about some carbohydrates, dog. Carbohydrates contain 2 main functions. One is chemical energy, which is very important for our muscles to do contractions like flexing. Another important function is cell wall material for plants.
Cells break down starch into glucose, which is used for energy.
But in these jungles, I just found myself a rare cactus. Unlike animal cells, plants contain a very strong cell wall that protects the cell membrane. And guess what a cell membrane contains? Cellulose. So this won't happen. You see this green stuff? That's cellulose. I'm your host, George and I. Come join me.
Lipids include fats and oils. They are used mainly as energy and as structural materials in living things. Both lipids and carbohydrates are made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Even though carbohydrates and lipids are similar, they both have different structures and properties.
Saturated and unsaturated fats are different. If one or more of these bonds is a double bond, the lipid is an unsaturated one. But if all the bonds between carbon atoms in the fatty acids are single bonds, the lipid is a saturated one. These are the difference between an unsaturated and saturated fat. Butter fats contain 3 fatty acids and are used for energy. Butter has saturated fats. Some lipids in a nerve cell membrane have 2 fatty acids and 1 phosphate group. These lipids are called phospholipids. Some lipids are an important part of a cell structure. Some of these lipids contain an element phosphorus. They are called phospholipids. Phospholipids are an important part of cell membranes. The nerve cell in the photograph is one example. Another lipid involved in a cell structure is cholesterol. Cholesterol is a part of cell membranes. It also has other functions. It is needed to make hormones. Hormones such as adrenaline are chemical messengers on the body. Proteins are macromolecules that are made of smaller molecules called amino acids. Proteins, just like carbohydrates and lipids, contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. But proteins differ from carbohydrates and lipids because they also contain nitrogen, sulfur, and other elements that carbohydrates and lipids do not have. The function of a protein depends on its structure. The function is determined by how the amino acids are arranged. If they are switched, the protein's function can change entirely. Keratin is a structural protein that is for the human hair. A transport protein is also hemoglobin. It carries oxygen through the blood. Some proteins that curl up into a ball are called enzymes. Enzymes are catalysts, which basically speed up their chemical reactions in living things. Some chemical reactions within our body occur too slowly, which is one reason why we need enzymes. Without these enzymes, we wouldn't be alive today. The backbone of DNA are sugar molecules and phosphate groups that alternate. The rings of DNA are molecules that are called bases. There are 4 of them, which are cytosine, guanine, adenine, and thymine. A specific amino acid called tyrosine has its code, which is TAC. Another specific amino acid is serine, which code is TCG. Amino acids link together to make certain proteins. At the end of this, the appearance of an animal or any living thing with DNA is coded by its DNA. DNA contains the genetic code, which is the information needed to build protein. Take a look at this dog right here. The shape of its ears, its fur color, and its eye color are all the result of proteins coded by its DNA. Another form of DNA is nucleic acid. Nucleic acids are huge, complex, carbon-based molecules, which contain information that cells use to make proteins. They are also macromolecules made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, as well as nitrogen and phosphorus. Nucleic acid, or DNA, looks like a twisted ladder. The sides of it are made up of sugar molecules and phosphate groups. The rungs of the ladder are made up of 2 nitrogen-containing molecules that are called bases. There are 4 bases in total, represented by A, C, T, and G. The order they are applied in is the way DNA stores instructions for making proteins. Protein is composed of amino acids that are in a certain order. Each of the 20 amino acids is represented by a DNA base. For example, tyrosine's code is TAC, which is a 3-base sequence. So in total there are 64 different 3-base sequences, which all have a specific order or meaning. TAC provides a very specific set of instructions for the amino acids to be ordered to make a specific protein molecule. There are the chemistry of living systems, from elements of the human body to genetic code. We learned about the key elements that our body uses, which are nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, etc. We learned about water in our body and how we use it to dissolve substances. Also about salt and how is it used to send nerve impulses throughout our bodies by separating into positive and negative ions. In lesson 11.2, we learned about living and non-living containing carbon and inorganic and organic compounds. We learned about the triple, double, and single bonds and how carbon atoms use them to form bonds with each other, creating millions of different carbon-based molecules. Both the full and simplified structural formulas that were carbon-based. We were taught about the chains, straight and branched, and the carbon rings. In 11.3, we were introduced to carbohydrates, lipids, and cellulose. We learned about the different types of proteins and how they are made depending on how their amino acids are arranged. We learned about 2 proteins, structural protein, such as hair or keratin, and a transport protein, hemoglobin, which carries oxygen through the blood. They are 2 different types of proteins, but they both work in the human body. We also learned about sequences for 3 base codes, such as TAC and TCG for serine and other substances. Finally, we learned about the DNA or the nucleic acids and how they store information for proteins, and proteins are for appearance.
George and I here. Here's a sodium atom. Here's a chloride atom. They both produce sweat.
Go.
Hey guys, George and I here. We're gonna be talking about the bodies. Sodium and fluoride create a very strong compound like salt. Salt is actually
Okay, well, hey, yo, remember me? The one you used to rarely
Go.
meet? I was just on BT. Didn't see.
Want to start?
Go.
Right now? I'm sorry. I don't know.
No, just go. Go.
Oh, hey, good to see you. My name's George. We're going to be talking about 4 main carbon-based molecules. Lipids, proteins, nucleic acids, and carbohydrates.
Oh. Go. Oh my god. Just
Okay,
go.
I'm ready. Move your crustiness out of here.
You just go.
Okay. No, seriously, Brandon, you want me to come on? What's up, players of the world? We're going to be talking about carbohydrates. Come join me, yes, please. Huh?
Go again. Go like that.
Yeah, DJ Nye. Yeah. I got broads in my proteins. Yeah.
What? Yeah.
I got proteins and carbohydrates in my DNA. Use a molecule. Okay, stop recording.
Yeah, huh? What? Yeah. Yeah.
My fellow gangsters.
What? What? Yeah. Huh? Yeah. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, huh?
Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah.